Yo, what's going on, Nomads and Drifting Podcast listeners? I'm Brian.
And I'm Monica.
And welcome to our podcast, the Backspace Nomads Gaming Podcast, where we share our nerd for gaming, movies, and all the dork in between. On this episode of the podcast, we're just catching up over the last 2 weeks, and we're talking about shared experiences through gaming. This is episode 57 of the podcast. It's May 7th. Let's start the show. Monica, we've been off for 2 weeks. What have you been up to?
I went to another country. I actually visited Costa Rica. That's why we had to take a week off. So sorry, everybody. That's my bad. But I had a great time. I really wanted to be able to unplug and not live the normal stresses of my standard day-to-day. And I do feel like I accomplished that. And I filled it up with brand new stresses, and which was very exciting and exhilarating.
How Monica of you.
Yeah. I can't live without being. No, my vacations are always very I like doing things. I don't think I'm just a beach lounger at all. I want to experience things. I want to interact with people. Not too many people, because I don't
awful.
I don't like them enough to do a lot of interaction, but enough. But yeah, it was exciting. So, I mean, I speak a little bit of Spanish, but by no means am I fluent.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so I got to practice that and get comfortable. I was very shy in the beginning, even saying hola. I just felt like a fraud. I was like, I don't speak Spanish. And here I am, saying a few words, and, but I got used to it, and I got more and more friendly and more confident with it. And that was exciting. But I think I realized that part of the reason why I don't try to relax is if I do try to relax, it just goes awry most of the time for me.
How would that be a bad thing ever?
Well, for instance, one of the places that we went to was this resort. It has this beautiful pool. It's kind of like an infinity pool, rocks around the edges of it. And that was the fancy place. I wanted to stay in shacks while we were out there, and I got vetoed. I went with two of my friends, and I go down to the pool. I'm in my bikini. I, have gained, I've been trying. I don't work on my summer body or anything like that. But I know, I think I can pull this bikini off today. I'm feeling good about this. And I'm in a resort, and I was like, well, if I'm going to be in a resort, well, then I am going to look like a rich woman, a rich, articulate woman. And so I go down, and I'm in my bikini, and I have my book with me, and it's a good book. It's not Twilight or anything of that matter. It's got big words in it. And I'm going to read this book. And I sit down on the edge of the pool.
Real quick. I get in the moment. What book are we at?
I don't even remember.
Okay.
We'll get to why, okay?
Okay.
I crack this book open, and I'm sitting down on the edge of the pool. I crack the book open. I brought a poetry book in this one, and I forget the title of it. But sit down on the edge of the pool, because I could be lounging, but I'm a little bit more bold of a woman than that. So I'm going to dip my toes in the water.
Ooh.
And I crack open the book, and not 2 seconds into the book, I feel a sharp pain on my patoot. And I go down and I slap my the side of my butt cheek.
Please, patoot. This is PG.
My patoot. I slap the side of my patoot, and I lift my hand up, and there's an ant. And I go, oh, it was an ant. Was that really what just hurt me? That seemed like it actually hurt. And this is surprising, because this ant just looks kind of like ants back home. And I don't think about the fact that I'm in another country and that ants are different in this country. And that the pain that I was feeling in my patoot could be revitalized by 1,000 more pains very similar. So I go back to reading my book, and then shortly, within a few seconds, I feel another sharp pain, and I put my hand down there, and I lift my hand up, and there's ants on my hand, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And instantly I stopped paying attention to where I don't even move from my position because now I've got to get these ants off of my hand. So I start trying to pull them off of my hand because they're biting me. They're just biting my fingers. I have scars. It looks like acne scarring on my hands from where these things bit me.
Yeah.
And then as I get them off my hands, I realize they're all biting my butt and they're biting my back and they've crawled up my back and they're biting me. And I think that they're talking to one another and telling one another that they have to kill this massive animal because they are trying to take me out. And so I take this book where I was originally just once grace and beauty and I was going to attract everyone. I take the book and I chuck it and I leap into the pool and I'm trying to get these things off of me frantically. I look like a crazy person. I'm trying to get these things off of me and they're biting up my back and they're biting my hands and there's no way to escape them. So I dunk under the water.
Sure. Smart, using your head.
Right. And I get them all off of me eventually, whatever. At this point, though, I get up from the water and all of the ants are off of me. And I swoop my hair back because I have to go back to being a fantastic, intelligent woman.
Sure.
And
graceful.
And I just decide that maybe reading isn't what's going to happen for me today. And I didn't read any more of the book. I just stayed in the pool because I was very nervous.
Oh,
my friend.
There's not more of a Monica story. Like, you can't even go on vacation without pulling off some shenanigans. Like, that's a comedy skit in like a National Lampoon's movie right there. You're Chevy Chase in Costa Rica.
Brian, I was like, I look good right now. Like, I mean, I am pulling this bikini off and I am pulling off reading too.
You're in public, Monica, all right?
Somehow, okay? Yeah. I am pulling off reading as well. And and it's all working. And instantly I get attacked by whatever kind of ants those were. Yeah. My friends came down and I told them, I had to tell them. And then I tried to convince them to get bit by one ant because I wanted them to experience exactly how painful one little ant bite was. And they refused. And I was like, why don't you want to experience Costa Rica? I mean, I was joking, but they're like, we're not going to get bit by ants, Monica. But yeah, there was a lot of...
That's a rite of passage.
Yeah, there was a lot of adventure, misadventure on the trip. I mean, I went, I'm afraid of heights to the point where if someone stands next to a ledge or if I stand next to a ledge, I get very uncomfortable. Even seeing somebody else makes me uncomfortable. Watching videos of people rock climbing makes me really uncomfortable.
Right.
It's a video.
Me too, but not just because it's physical activity. It just...
You'll love this then.
Okay.
So I went ziplining and I was very nervous. But I paid for it. I signed up for it and I decided I was going to go. My friends were making fun of me because I just completely stopped talking, which is a rarity. And they were like, oh, Monica, what's going on? Why aren't you talking? Like, this is what we should have done at the beginning of the trip. Her,
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I'm truly like very nervous and I don't want to talk a lot because I'm just kind of concentrating on what I'm going to be doing and working, making sure that I'm like staying in the now. And this zip line was like eight different zip lines. And it was the fastest one that's in Costa Rica. It was one of the lines. I zipped down the first one. I zipped down the second one. I zipped down the third one, which is the longest of them all. And when I zipped down the third one, when I finally, when my feet touch the next platform, I go, and I realize I've been holding my breath every single time I'm on these zip lines. But that one was much longer than the other ones. And so I was just completely on this thing, stiff as a board, not breathing, and did that on every single one. I was so tense and so stressed up that on zip lines, you're just hanging there.
Yeah.
You're not having to do much. You just have to hang there you're basically just sitting in a swing.
Yeah.
And you're just holding some bars. I was so stressed out that my entire core was sore for 3 days after because I just solidified myself into a rock.
That's how you get the beach bod. You know, that's how you rock the bikini. Just go ziplining the whole
Yeah,
time.
it's true. If I had to zip line every day of my life, I would be Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Ooh, nice.
But I did get to unplug.
Mm.
I did have a really good time. It was nice to I did have cell phone reception the majority of the trip, but I left my phone a lot of different places and didn't take it out with me everywhere. And it was really, really nice. But I did at multiple times think about how everyone was able to play God of War and was beating it. And I have so much more to go. I'm not going to lie about that.
You haven't played any God of War. You've been in Costa Rica.
I know. I was like, what kind of gamer am I?
Disgusting.
I felt shame.
You scheduled this trip around God of War. That's just like.
I know. I really did though, Brian. I was like, I am a bad gamer.
Yeah.
I can't believe I haven't beat this thing yet. I had to pack and everything for the trip. I just can't believe it. I don't even know if I can call myself a gamer anymore.
I mean, are you a God of War fan? You talked about it for a couple of years. Now the Kratos has a son to take care of. You want nothing to do with them.
I'm a fraud. Yeah, it's true. I'm not interested. I was like, children involved, swipe left.
That's one of the new game mechanics. I don't know. I haven't played it all. So I can't even talk about it. You sound like you had fun in Costa Rica, though. Like, beautiful continent. Are you a Costa Rican now, or do you feel like you're one of them?
I would go back. There were a million benefits to being out there. For one, I completely stopped having BO ever. Like, it was weird. I didn't have to like wear deodorant. This might be too much information for this podcast, but I'm telling you, I was working out a lot. I was sweating all the time. I was drinking tons of water. It was like I cleansed myself of everything United States. And I was living this beautiful life out in the wilderness, just getting bit by insects. Maybe the insects were helping. I don't know. My skin was clearing up. Like
you haven't heard of the fire ant cleanse?
Yeah, the fire ant cleanse. Yeah, no, but I felt like whatever poisons the insects were, because I got bit multiple times by many things. I got a rash at one point. It was great. Whatever was going on there was definitely helping my overall holistic, healthy lifestyle. So,
fancy word. You are a lady of luxury.
I am. But yeah, I had a great time. The one thing that I did watch while I was out there, because it was the only thing on television that was in English. So one night we found it and we watched it, was actually Pixels, which is an Adam Sandler film about gaming. And I'm not going to go into great detail about that. I don't think you should. I would just say
it looked horrible. I saw the previews. I was like, this is where we are?
Yeah. So that was my only gaming investment in the Costa Rica trip. And I would just go ahead and say pass.
Okay. I'll take you up on that. I'll pass on it. I'll keep that one. And like, man, maybe if it's on Netflix, I'll decide just to keep swiping by on Netflix. Like, nah, I'll keep going to the next one.
But can you tell people now that you didn't watch it because I recommended you not watch it?
Tell people what about it?
Yeah, like if they're like, have you ever seen Pixels? You'll be like, oh no, I was recommended to me my co-host that I not watch it. Not that you already hated it. I want to feel like I had an impact on your life, Brian.
You have had an impact on my life, Monica, and you continue to with these stunning movie reviews. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anyway, enough about me. Tell me about how much your life was misery while I was gone.
Oh my God, it was so horrible. I thought to myself, man, what movies am I going to see now that Monica's not here to give me advice? I'll tell you which one I went and saw, Monica. Avengers Infinity War. I saw that one in a movie theater with popcorn and a drink. And I absolutely loved it. I can't believe that these dudes pulled off as much story as they did within that like 2.5 hours, whatever it is. They tied the knot on like 10 years of storytelling. They pulled it all together. They like threaded new things to go into the future. I was blown away. I like most of the time movies don't live up to the hype, you know. They lived up to the hype, and I can't believe they did it. This was not my favorite Marvel movie of all time, but the most fulfilling, I guess, would be a way to put it.
Okay.
Because there's still more to go. It's a 2-part movie, but in it, my last thing I was like, I really want them to finish up some storylines, and like I want stuff to happen. I want Thanos to like either die or like do he did stuff. I don't want to spoil the movie for you. He did a lot of.
I wanted Thanos to die, or either he did stuff.
Yeah, like I don't want like the whole.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't die, but he really didn't affect like anything in the world. We'll figure out what happens in the next one. Oh
right,
no!
And I remember you said that.
Yeah, he actually accomplished like a large part of what he was setting out to do, and it's like so very bold moves by them. So I don't want to spoil it too much for you because you haven't seen it.
Or for our audience, you don't
I don't care about them that much. It's more so a co-host type of thing.
What's a question that you would ask the people within our audience that have watched the movie?
Okay. Do you like that some of the mainstays from going forward in the cinematic universe maybe aren't going to have a large impact on the second movie?
Ooh,
right?
That's very mysterious. Okay. Repeat it one more time. Repeat it one more time for the our listeners that have watched the movie.
Mm-hmm. So like, there a lot of the newer characters in the MCU, they're not going to have a large impact on the second part of the movie. How do you feel about that? Because after this movie's done with, they're going to be the ones taking the franchises forward, and they're not going to have a role to play coming up in the next movie.
Got it.
So it's interesting. It's very, very like, as a storyteller, it's like, I can't believe they're actually like going forward with that idea. Like Hollywood doesn't do that stuff. Hollywood never does that stuff.
Yeah.
And these people are. So I'm curious to see what they think.
Yeah, let us know.
I played an indie game, Monica. We were talking about my lack of game playing because I've just been a Fortnite fanatic, I like to call myself.
Do you now?
I played an indie game. It was called The Sword of Ditto.
Okay.
I got a solid 10 minutes into that game and I turned myself around. I said, what am I doing? I just wasted $15 of my hard-earned money. This game was horrible. It was like a rogue-like adventure. It kind of looked like an Adult Swim, cartoon style.
Yeah.
It was drawn.
Why did you pick it?
It kind of looked like a Legend of Zelda, like the old school one, like where you're looking down on the buildings in like the pixel art form. And you kind of see like the back of the building. Now it's like a 3/4 perspective, I think it's called. But it looked interesting, but it was like all hand drawn. I was like, this looks super cool. It's roguelike. I like roguelike games. I got into it and I didn't like the type of humor at all. So it looked pretty cool. Some of it didn't necessarily line up. The art direction got a little haywire at places. It wasn't like consistent. The perspective kind of failed at some places.
I mean, the fact of the matter is that you tried something other than Fortnite for the first time.
And then go well.
And you know what? The thing is, you didn't even try one of the games that we've recommended. You went rogue yourself.
I almost picked up Minute because we talked about Minute. I'm like, this is going to be a cool game. But I thought like, man, I don't know if is that going to be a long enough game to talk about? Turns out I'd been able to talk about 15 playthroughs of Minute because Sword of Ditto got 15 minutes and I was done with that game. It was
right.
Okay, what is wrong?
Let this be a lesson to you, listeners. You should only play games that we recommend because have recommended because Brian tried doing something else and really just wasted a little portion of his life. I've
wasted like my time, our viewers' time now because I had to listen to this nonsense story for the last 3 minutes. I am like so mad at these developers. What is with like humor that's like so self-aware that like they know they're telling a joke while they're telling a joke? I can't stand that type of humor. It's like Tenacious D, but not funny, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Other than that, I had a pretty big change in my life, Monica.
Okay.
You know this about me. I'm a Twitch.tv streamer. We met on Twitch, but recently I went back to the streaming world and apparently I've taken it by storm because I am now an official Twitch.tv partner. I'm someone with a check mark by my name. I'm verified.
You're such a big deal.
Are you jealous?
Yeah, actually. I have jealousy just like surging through me and I don't know how to feel about it. It's probably going to change how I interact with you from this point on.
A little bit more respect around here, huh?
Oh, yeah. You got it.
Finally.
No, congrats. I'm very,
Thank you.
very excited for you. It's crazy though. It's like one of these things where, you and I have known each other for a few years now. And I know you're at a point where streaming for both of us wasn't really something that we were focused on. It was something that we did very casually for
Yes.
fun, just for shits and giggles.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you saying like, "Hey, I think I'm going to try this again. I am going to hone in on gaming,
Mm-hmm.
not pixel art, which you were doing before." And I was excited for you. I was like, yeah, okay. A part of me, I'm not going to lie, was like a little bit like, okay, what does this mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, I was also really excited because I felt like you could do it. I've always known you could. And so the fact that you're partnered now makes me very proud, Brian. I'm very proud.
Pretty crazy, girl, because you're right. I kind of thought streaming would never be a thing I did as a gig. It was more so just I have a few hours here or there, maybe jump on, have some people who like me jump on and like hang out, listen to music and do graphic design or some like indie game or something like that.
Yeah.
And then,
so for our listeners, can you explain a little bit of like your history on Twitch?
Yeah, sure. I started on this little channel that we used to call Drunky Gaming. And so I got on there. My brother got me into Twitch. If podcast listeners don't know, my brother is a streamer called Dakotas. He's one of the largest people on the platform right now. He got me in watching it like 5 years ago, right? And then about 3 years ago, I was like, I wanted to give it a try. So I started playing Hearthstone. I got into like variety gaming. So I was playing a lot of like the Telltale series games. And then I stumbled upon a game called the City Skylines, which I absolutely fell in love with because I'm a nerd for city planning. And I played that game like religiously for a couple months. And that's when the streamer named Unicorn Hole decided to hit me with a random raid because I wasn't a known person. I didn't promo or anything. I just kind of did my thing on there.
Yeah.
And you came along and you hosted my channel. And from there, I kind of started to build like a small little audience. Like unique, weird people started to find me because they tangentially were connected to your stream. And that's when like streaming really became kind of a fun, interactive thing for me, was from there. Yeah. And then we went on TwitchCon. I did a little bit more streaming after that, but then I kind of like hung the hat up when we started to do a podcast.
Yep. Yeah, we both did. It was, I think, after that convention that I was like, I'm not streaming on my old channel anymore. I'm like, it's completely sunset. I'd already backed off a lot from streaming myself. But we were focused in on this. And I do remember finding your name. I specifically picked you because your name was Drunky Gaming and I'd been drinking. So, I guess co-host match made in heaven right there. Yeah. But from that point, jumping back into this, I mean, you really have like put both feet in the water, getting bit up by ants and jumped all the way in. Because you have treated this time around definitely more on a business, on the business side of things. And it's just really exciting to see the type of growth potential that you have accomplished. But I guess the thing more so that I've been thinking about with you getting partnered is how kind of crazy it is that we met through gaming. That, I mean, obviously the podcast here is circulated around gaming and everything. But I started thinking more so about like all the different people that I've met through gaming throughout my entire life, and the wild, sometimes horrible stories and sometimes wonderful stories that I have experienced from it. Obviously met you. This is like, I would say this was a good one. This is a good story.
Probably the best one you've met from gaming. Let's be real about that one. Don't gotta sell me short here.
Okay. I would say it's honestly, Brian, you know what? Cover your ears, Brian.
Okay.
You
I'll take my
are
headphones off.
Brian is definitely the best story from a creative the creative realm, and from, I can see you're listening to me, but from the creative aspect and just from a friendship aspect, 100% been the best. But I have met so many people through gaming. You know, the NRA just recently lambasted gaming again, saying that it's ruining children's lives and everything. And I can say that I've definitely had some gloomy moments because of people that I've met through gaming. But as a whole, I don't even know who I would be without the interactions and the friendships that I've.
I agree with that. Like, you know, the NRA, first off, they're a fantastic group of people. But they're completely wrong about it. Like, gaming has shaped my life from probably the age of 14 onward. Like, I was always like a gamer, but at the age of 14 is kind of when I started to get connected with people in terms of like long-term relationships. Like, I know this person, I play games with them every day. And as I got older and I turned like 18 and stuff, and I was able to drive, that's when I started meeting up with people who you know, are part of the gaming. I know many people were there like, oh yeah, I actually live in the town over from me. I'm like, oh, like that's awesome. You want to land together? And they would bring the computer over and we hook it up. Like, gaming, like from that point, like it has shaped you, and I think in very positive ways.
So you first started meeting up with people through gaming when you were 18.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't know, like I guess I just felt like I could have done it before that, you know what I mean? But I just felt like it was like weird. This isn't like the modern days where like there's big conventions and stuff. Just like for gamers, this is like, you know, I'm an old man now, Monica. We're talking about, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago. Where it was just like when you were talking about meeting with people online, you would get looks like, what? Be careful. Like, you know.
Oh yeah. My mom was just constantly thinking I was going to be murdered.
Yeah. This is like even pre like To Catch a Predator. You know what I mean? So, it was just awkward for me. But at 18, I was like, all right, I'll meet, you know, yeah, come over and play LAN. I'll go over to your place. And I loved it. When I was playing like World of Warcraft is when I met up with a group of friends. I met a few of them in real life because they would come to Orlando for business and stuff. But I still keep in contact with those people to this day. And I haven't played games with them in a, like, I don't know, 5-6 years times. But like the friendships that were made there have lasted way longer than most of the friendships I've made with people in my life.
You know what's funny is actually when I was in Costa Rica and I was in San Jose, we met up with somebody that I knew out there that I knew from gaming.
Really?
And he brought us around. Yeah, in San Jose. I knew him from gaming. I've stayed friends with him. He actually helped me when I was in college take some of my Spanish courses. He tutored me, also allowed me to... he took some tests for me.
The real friends.
But when we were out there, we met up with him. He took us to one of his favorite bars. We got to walk the city. I would say that's another good story that I've experienced.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any bad experiences meeting people through gaming?
I haven't. I don't think I've like ever had like a horrible experience. Most of them have been pretty positive.
Okay. All right.
You know, I get a good sense about people. I'm like, that seems like it'd be a bad time. Nope.
Yeah.
Got defriended you for me, so this isn't awkward when I get online now. Thanks.
Yeah. You know, it's crazy. I think almost all of my friends, outside of maybe two, for I would say the majority of my teenage years, my later teenage years, and almost all of my early 20s were through gaming.
Really?
Almost all of them. And they were all internet friends. So if I hung out with them, it was like I had to go travel to see them. So I would actually travel, like sometimes go to different states to hang out with people. And I started doing that when I was 16 against my mom's. My mom didn't know, but I had an internet boyfriend from gaming.
Ooh,
and by
spicy.
gosh, Mom, you know, you can't hold me back forever. She would tell me things like, you can go date, but I get to go on the first one with you. And that just, you know, made sure I wasn't ever going to date in my life. But I actually, you know, had an internet boyfriend, and his dad drove him out to come meet me. And we went to the movies.
Ooh.
And then I never saw him again.
Made that good of an impression, huh?
I mean, it was really hard to see one another when you don't both don't have vehicles, you
Yeah.
know. But almost all of my friends, I'm not joking, almost all of my friends in my late teens and my early 20s had to do with gaming. I definitely can say, though, that I have had bad and good experiences.
Yeah, you are definitely someone that likes to step into it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if there's people, our listeners, can pick up on that from the past 56
What do
episodes, but
you mean? I just go with the flow, and I'm very accepting of a lot of different people.
You are. That's what I love about you.
Yeah, yeah. And then I get bit.
Ants love you. People love you too.
Yeah, they do.
But it's just like as we move into like adulthood and stuff, I think the craziest things are like going out to the conventions now and just seeing how big the community are and how much people want to like meet each other in real life. Going out to these Twitch cons, it's like mind blowing.
It's like the biggest family like gathering ever.
Like, okay, have you ever been into a city and just seen like a sea of one color? Never. You go out to these like TwitchCon conventions and it's like purple paint has been splashed over a city. Like Twitch does it big by putting up their logos and stuff over the convention center. And then there's just a sea of purple hoodies and shirts and hair dye and nail polish. Like it's all purple everywhere. And it is like the biggest, it's definitely cult like, but the friendships in this cult are going to last longer than the cult probably will.
What I think is really great too is that because it's more accepting, because there are more outlets, because conventions aren't considered as nerdy. I mean, I remember going to conventions when I was young and I didn't tell my friends that my in real life friends, which like I said, I only had like 2 or 3 ones that were close enough, but I didn't really tell them what I was doing. I know I convinced a boyfriend when I was like 19 to go to an anime convention with me, and he went and he was like, "What are we doing here?" And he was just like, "You like this?" I was like, "No."
I love it.
But it was more niche back then, and now it's more accepting. And I think it's good because it is safer. It's a safer environment to meet people. You know, I'm not having to like hide my internet friends and not tell anyone that I'm going to go hang out with them so I won't be judged or that everyone won't think I'll be murdered, even though I might be murdered. I don't know. In general, it's really exciting seeing how gaming friendships have been able to evolve, how the acceptance of those have been able to evolve, and how really like commonplace they are now. And it's kind of crazy too, because you were talking about how you felt like it was a little weird when we were younger. I think we all felt like that, but in reality, we were still connecting to somebody.
Yeah.
And we 100%. Were still making a friendship. We just didn't know how to navigate that
before our times.
Appreciate it because it wasn't acceptable. And to see how far that's come, and for kids now to be able to have actual friendships and be able to facilitate those with wild abandon and not be judged poorly for that, I think that's really, really amazing, because a lot more of our time is being spent obviously online, on the internet, on our computers. So
and like it just, it was always hard for me to meet people who were like gamers in real life. I think that's what's been so exciting about the online. It's like, I don't have friends that I knew growing up that were like game players. Like it was me and my brothers and that was it. And that's why I like finding all these people, especially like when Twitch came around, you're like, wait, there's other people that are obsessed with Dark Age of Camelot that are like obsessed. You know what I mean? Like I think Twitch is really, and like YouTube and stuff has like given the avenues for you to find people who are like the biggest nerds about the most niche things ever. Because the amount of people who will spend time in like a 5-viewer Twitch channel, but like be diehard friends to each other, and then they go out to the convention, they like have the time of their life out there. I think it's like the coolest thing ever.
Yep, absolutely. I feel like, what?
We have you coming out to MegaCon here in sunny Florida.
I am, but I'm not going out there for you, Brian. I'm going out there for Jeff Goldblum.
It's all right. That's the reason I'm inviting you. I'm like, I need to end with Jeff Goldblum. He's not gonna like this like pasty looking Floridian. Like,
he's gonna like a pasty looking Ohioan.
yeah, but you're the lady of luxury. You're smart.
Oh yeah, I read books.
You read books by the poolside. I'm like, Jeff, this one,
yeah,
read books.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you and there's going to be a handful of conventions that we're going to keep going to as we continue to grow this podcast. Hopefully we get to meet more of our viewers and listeners. And, you know, I think that that's one of the elements of this that I've always really loved is connecting with people. So
yeah.
It's just neat. It's just neat. I appreciate the fact that this whole thing really started when I had a couple brewskis and found a man who had a little bit too much Jameson. And from that very moment on, we had no clue, but this friendship has blossomed. I can't talk. I could go on and on about how many people that I've met that have really impacted my life in one way or another. And I think, you know, as we grow the podcast, as your partnership blossoms and you're now that you're like super famous and everything, as you continue to become more and more famous, as that happens, like we're going to continue to meet more people. And I think like the whole idea here is that you never know what opportunities are going to present themselves through the friendships that you make through gaming and
drinking.
And drinking. And drinking.
Dude, we killed like half a bottle before I even left the Airbnb to go out that first night. Like, I'm talking like an hour we threw half a bottle.
Oh, I don't know. You get two dumbasses together and it's just, it's a whole lot of assholes. You get two assholes together and you make a podcast.
Man, if we ever get on the panel for podcasting, that's going to be the just get a couple assholes together. You got a podcast. Cool.
I would love to be on a panel for podcasting. Yeah, you're right. Well, Brian, thanks for being my friend, man. Thanks for being my gaming friend.
Monica, thank you for being my gaming friend.
You're welcome.
That's going to do it for episode 57 of the Backspace Nomads podcast. Thanks for hanging out. Find us on Twitter at Backspace Nomads. We'll see you guys next week for episode 58. See you guys then.